Yo, what's up, fuckers? It's Justin.
It's Romo. We're
back, Pillar of Thriller. Tonight, we are going to be covering
Fear Street
Part 1, 2, and 3.
This episode is going to be 1994.
Yes.
We're going to cover all three. And
for this week.
You'll see this if you're watching this right upon release. Just wait a day or two, and Part 2, 1978, will be out. And then wait a day or two, and then 1666 will be out. Which are all fire, in my opinion.
Me too. Yeah. But we'll dive into those details. But before we do, I'd like to shout out our sponsors real quick. Mm-hmm. We just finished doing. First person that comes to mind is Han Junkies. Mm-hmm. We just finished filming their Golden Ghost Award for Best Story. So that'll be out in. I know it's super early, but that'll be out in September. So that's one.
But keep it on your mind.
Yes.
Be on the lookout.
1000%.
We got our boy Brandon Jack. Would just be kicking it. Not only does he have his apparel going off the wall, going crazy, they started up a podcast. So Visa is also his co-host. So he's on there. We're super proud of what them two are doing with their podcast. So.
And they do have one more co-host. I can't think of his name right. They just added.
I think it's Vio.
Yeah, something.
Let's look it up. Let's get it right. Let's look it up real quick. But if you're into wanting to know about sneakers, they talk music, they talk hoops a good bit because like these hoops culture and like sneakers are so intertwined. They
kind of go hand in hand a little, right?
They go on with it. So we got a lot of stuff going on with Brandon and just be kicking it. You find it yet?
Oh, here. God is Vito. Yeah, his name is Vito.
Vito. So, Vito, also one of their co-hosts. So, go check them out. The episodes are fire. We listen to them while we're working and stuff. They're dope. They got a big one coming out soon.
Yes, sir.
And then...
Waiting for them to invite us on, but we'll talk about that another time.
We'll talk about that.
Kosi, boring_Millie, sorry.
If you need a banner, you need a logo designed, you needed anything that you wanted to portray in a large way, go talk to your boy and he'll write you up a design.
Oh, man, and he's got good rates, great rates, Hit him up. If you tell him that Pillar of Thrill sent you for real, he'll probably hook you up with a discount. Yep. So that's a real thing.
Yeah, unlike Justin's other fake
discount
codes.
So I don't have like a promo code or anything like that, but if you hit him up and you say, hey, Justin or Romo sent us over here to do some kind of logo design, hit him up, man. I know, Mary and Heather, I don't know if you guys have a logo yet for your podcast. Hit them up if you need to, you know what I'm saying?
They do have a logo.
Okay, yeah.
It's pretty fire.
Oh, yeah.
So, but if you want a banner,
hit them up, man. Hit them up.
If you need one, hit them up.
That's all
Justin wants a discount code so bad, it's hilarious.
I just want, fuck.
It's hilarious.
I just want to say it so I can just say, hey, this is brought to you by Kosi Jude. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is.
Yeah.
We're going to get to it, but before we do, last thing we got to do.
Our unpaid sponsors.
Is chug our beer.
So pop that thing open. I got the bottle this time. Justin's got the can.
I can do the bottle.
No. You complained last time.
So I did not complain.
No.
I ain't no bitch.
Here's what we're doing.
I ain't no bitch.
But the only way for us to be able to talk about Fear Street Part 1 the way we want to is to chug these beers. Yeah. So
cheers, bro.
Cheers. Thank you. That felt good. Felt fantastic, and Justin's going to continue to burp for the next 5 minutes.
You just got to open your mouth wider.
Yep. Open the throat up a little bit and get going on it. All right. So, Fear Street Part 1, 1994. Before we get into the story, we're going to talk the story. We're going to kind of just talk our thoughts in general. We're going to roll through it. Justin, what did you think about Part 1? Like, how did you feel? Because obviously this was a big trilogy coming to Netflix. R.L. Stine goes back to a lot of our childhoods when it comes to horror. So we had all that going with us, but also there's so much to Fear Street, just from the books and everything.
Yep.
There are tons of books we know. And these seem to be loosely adapted under Netflix. So, what are your thoughts on part 1? Let's stick to part 1.
So, I'd like to say that I've not read any of these books. I read a lot of Goosebumps growing up. I never read any Fear Street. So I don't know how the movie and the book series go hand in hand. But with that said, strictly talking one, I did enjoy it. Probably my least favorite of the 3.
Okay.
But I did like it a lot. It doesn't change, that just means that 2 and 3
are really good.
Yeah, really good.
And they build on part 1.
They do.
I think part 1 does a great job of establishing, giving us an established storyline to build on. While we had our opinions on stuff feeling incomplete and stuff we wanted to know more about and having questions, those do get answered. So it's very integral to the entire trilogy.
So I don't know if I can speak for him, but I was kind of impatient because watching the first, I'm always impatient.
Justin impatient. That is, never heard that before.
Yeah. I like to make rash decisions. I kind of just, whenever I want something, I make the decision to do it right then and there. I don't.
Yep.
I don't.
This is true.
Yeah. So.
So while you're watching it.
Yeah. So while I was watching it, I did. I was very impatient with in the way of, oh, what the fuck happened here? I can't believe. I thought you opened it already. All right. But what happened here? This is. Why is this so important? This. Some things didn't make any fucking sense. Just to name an example, in the very first movie, there's this weird sex scene that's between in the 2, technically 3 sex scenes rolled into one, with the 2 main characters. What would seem like a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Turns out he's older, and we just did not think he was older. We're
talking about Josh. Couldn't drive. Yeah.
Talking about Josh, by the way, and Kate was the one who was driving them around. So we were like, "Oh, is Josh just younger? He carries himself younger too."
Yeah.
So that weirded us out a good bit, and
it threw us off because we hadn't seen the second and third, so we didn't know.
And it still didn't as from watching the first one all the way through, that's just a really random moment that happens. In our opinion, it doesn't feel like it adds anything. I felt like the Sam and Dina, love connection, okay, it could make sense there. It was so unnecessary for the other characters.
Yeah,
so unnecessary, and felt like it added nothing. It just felt like a filler of time. There were times during this movie also that I felt it ran too long, where I didn't feel that way about 2 and 3.
Yeah. As far as the story goes, though. Aside from some of the writing, I'd probably say the storyline throughout the whole series, not just one, because I can't just speak on the story of 1 because it's such a big part of 2 and 3.
Yep.
The storyline is, I'd say, excellent. They did a really good job
of piecing everything together.
Yeah, exactly. Piecing every little small details, and I'm sure we missed a bunch of things watching it. So I've seen Fear Street 1 twice. I'm trying to go through the second and third one at least one more time, because I want to see things that I'd like to do that a lot, is go through and see what I missed. But I'm sure we missed a couple things. But the storyline between all 3 of these is very cohesive, and it's done really well. Just some of the writing, I'd probably say, is just a little corny.
Yeah. Moving backwards in time is a really rare thing.
Yeah.
So the fact it was moving backwards to be able to tell the story. We do see prequels, but it was a really cool way of doing it through 2 films, following the first one, and then also the surprise we have in the third one. Obviously, you knew everything had to be brought back together to 1994, but they do it in an excellent way. So let's set the stage here. We have Dina and Samantha that are in a very hateful relationship at the beginning. They don't get along. They just went through a breakup, so that is not going well at all. And so you get a weird dynamic from all of that, just from them, almost abusive, verbally abusive from Dina's side, and how harsh she is against Sam. So basically, you have them, you have Josh, who is Dina's little brother. He's hilarious, he's fantastic. And then Kate and Simon are Dina's best friends, it would seem like. And was it Nick Good, who's the sheriff. So those are the main characters that we really look at here throughout the film. C. Berman becomes an important character at the end. But at the beginning, there's someone that is working in a bookstore in the mall, and it's a cold open where her and one other person are working in the mall, Ryan Torres, and they're shutting down shop at the Shady Side Mall, and you get a reminiscent of Scream opening where the person on the other end of the call is the killer. Almost the outfit resembles Ghostface in my opinion a lot. The skull face and the gown over with the hood over the top. So that really sets the stage. You get that cold open and you find out someone's been massacred, and then Sheriff Good comes in and kills Ryan Torres, but then all the spark starts up the witch is back, right? And that's the first thing we hear about the witch.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. When everyone in the school's talking about the witch and everything.
Was the witch talked about in the very beginning scene? I don't know if it was.
She wasn't mentioned in the mall.
So the mall was a cold open, right?
Yeah.
So that was. So Josh is talking the chat with Josh. That was after the kill.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the first. So then
yep.
It was the first time.
And the only time you really see reference to the witch at all, and looking back on it, is there's the fly that's flying around Ryan Torres, which is basically indicative of a presence of a witch. So I think it's really well done cold open because it pays homage to Scream.
I love that. Seriously, I love that.
Yeah.
Especially since they're going back to '94.
Yeah.
And Scream was done in the '90s.
Yep. Exactly. And so what really kicks off the story too after that is when Sam and Dina aren't getting along, and they have basically Dina causes the car crash, right?
Yes.
So Dina caused the car crash, and then the grave of Sarah Fear gets disturbed.
So I don't know if she would have actually done it if she wasn't bleeding.
She was. I mean, if you open the back of a bus and you have the cooler and you're saying 1, 2, 3, you have intention to do that. That's what Nick Good even said. He was like, maybe it was y'all just fooling around, and they're accidents happen. I think her intentions were to do that. I think that was poorly set up. I felt like she had malintention, and that was also part of the reason I hated her. There was a lot of stuff that I did not like that she carried herself with certain actions and certain ways of saying things. She rubbed me entirely the wrong way throughout the entire first film, in my opinion. It was like they caused the car crash, and then Sam has the nosebleed also, which I don't think they explain the nosebleed too much.
Not in the first one, at least.
No, exactly. And so then Sam disturbs Sarah Fear's grave, and that kicks off basically the whole story that the rest of the trilogy is built on.
Based off of one character. Her name is Sarah Fear. She's a witch. Watching this movie, they say she's a witch, and they went to hang her. And whenever they hanged her, she left her hand so that she could say that she will always have her hand on the land for as long as.
Pretty
much forever. Yeah, pretty much forever.
She said, "I'll never let go." She says she'll never let go.
Yeah.
We find out more about that whole story. So we're giving you all the part 1 version of all of that. So, part 1 version of all of that, and we realize that at Shady Side, years and years and years, there's these murders that are happening. You got the milkman, you got the deformed boy, you have Camp Nightwing Killer, you have Ruby Lane, and then now you have the Skullface. So all of that is supposedly done by the witch having possessed the land and possessing people, normal people, that just seem to snap and go off on these tirades and kill people.
And it's always done in Shadyville. So I don't think we touched on this, but there's 2 parts. This movie's based on 2 towns, Shadyville and Sunnyside. Obviously, Shady, Sunny, 2 opposites. But everything that happens that's bad is done on the Shady side. Everything that's happened that's good is done in Sunnyvale. That's a lot of the bad things that are happening. nobody seems to believe it's the witch and that it's just part of what happens in this
Everyone
town.
makes like really light jokes about people dying from the witch, which also rubbed me the wrong way. Like kids are running around like, "Oh, it's the witch! Ah, Sarah Fear's back!" Like one of your classmates just died, and like that really was bad writing, in my opinion. Like figuring out how to write a likable character, figuring out how to make light of something didn't seem normal to me. I did notice there's like. You have the shady side. Their football team mascot's the Devils, which is interesting. It makes a lot more sense going forward. That's just like a little wink. So that's kind of cool. So, like, Sam disturbed the grave, right? So Sarah Fear comes after Sam with her minions, is specifically after her blood, which is why we realize
That's how these people, the people who've come up from the grave, or it's not really a grave, but people who are
coming after
Sam are her minions, Sarah Fear's minions, and they find her based off of blood.
Yep.
Every single
So that's why they're chasing after Dina, because Dina has Sam's blood on her shoe from the incident, and she also has spat out blood on Simon's shirt during the car crash, and that's why when Simon changes, Skullface comes in and he's looking for the shirt, and he has no interest in Kate and Simon when they find Skullface in their house at all.
No.
Yep.
They're only, because when they're there, he doesn't have the shirt on, or was it sheets?
It was
Whatever.
shirt.
It was a shirt, yeah.
Because he keeps wearing it through the rest of the film.
It was freaking weird.
He's like, this is all I
went to work. I went to work with it at a grocery store.
I was like, why don't you just wear? He had a jacket on. I was like, why don't you just wear the jacket with no shirt on?
Bro,
why are you just wearing blood all over?
The minute I have blood on my shirt, I'm taking it off.
Another thing I was like, that's so stupid. Dina not cleaning her shoe because she has blood on it. So stupid.
Yeah, what the fuck?
You knew it was there. We see her see it, and she doesn't clean it off. Still, it makes no sense.
But I guess they had to go through some type of progression to make it work.
That was where the writing really bothered.
Yeah, I don't know if she was so traumatized by the blood that I can't clean this blood off, or like I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Like it
didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So we get Sheriff Good is
he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
Who they make him seem like he's really
no
really
pun
good,
intended.
Yeah.
Really good guy.
He's a really good guy. He comes in and he's in Shadyville. He's the sheriff of Shadyville. And when that accident...
I thought he was the sheriff of Sunnyside.
No, he's the sheriff of Shady.
Sure on that?
1,000%. We can look it up. But I'm gonna go...
Yeah, just keep going.
So what happens is... So, like, he comes off as, like, this really awesome dude who's coming in to help. And, so when we're talking about Sam's blood, these people come back from the dead. One of the things we didn't like was they go to this hospital and they steal this ambulance. Yeah. And Sheriff Good didn't think anything of it. It's like, it's normal. Like, you're not gonna... They steal a fucking ambulance.
Yeah.
As a cop, are you just gonna let that go?
Yeah, and like that, they never really look after the ambulance. Like, it's a stolen ambulance. They don't mention it. Dina also steals...
Right under the rug.
She also steals one of the guns from the other cop. Then he doesn't notice, so he must not even notice. I mean, there's just small plot holes. We're getting really nitpicky in here. But you have the whole incident of where you find out it's Ryan Torres that's the Skullface killer. You find that out in the hospital, right? Mm-hmm. And thank God that he stabbed Peter, Sam's boy toy that was going on, because I could not handle what the dialogue that was going on between Dina and Sam in the hospital.
Oh, and that
was
scene?
Terrible.
Yeah.
It was so annoying, and I was like, please, can something end this? And thankfully, Skullface...
I also hated Peter, which means he did a good job, because then we were supposed to hate
Justin
him.
hates people that are supposed to be bad in films. I hated this person. I was like, good, they did
that. Means they did. Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff just keeps moving on. We find out there's more henchmen coming after people by Simon running into Ruby Lane.
Yeah.
And then the Camp Nightwing killer, who is a direct reference to Jason in Part 2 with the sack over his head. That's pretty cool. We see more of him in Part 2, and that's kind of his origin story in Part 2. So you have a lot of henchmen coming after Sam, right? And so they bunker up in the high school, and they come up with that amazing plan to blow them up. They leave them there with Sam's blood, lock them in the bathroom, light them on fire. And then we get one of your favorite moments of the CGI throughout the entire film.
So, you guys know that I fucking hate when they overdo CGI. One of the things I will say is they did really well with CGI in all 3 films. Not too much, just like the right amount. If they wanted to, they probably could have done just a little more if they wanted to. But I'm glad they did. They didn't, and they kept it to where it was. But what happens is they set these motherfuckers on fire. They're in this room in the school. Was it the school?
Yeah, so
it was the school. They're in this room at the school. They set them on fire, and they think it's over. But they have little bits and pieces of them just come back together, and they're reformed like nothing happened to them. Because obviously they're dead, and they're coming back. Like, you know, they're already dead, and they're gonna actually die until you get rid of like whatever the source of. Like the main source of the foundation.
Yep.
Of this,
which we don't understand until later.
Yeah.
Right. So that was one of the favorite moments, and like Ruby Lane's like she's a dope killer. Camp Nightwing killer is also a dope killer. So those two like, I do like the Skullface killer because he's a reference to Scream almost, and so I really think the killers are well thought out. The henchmen without having actually Sarah Fear in this part, like it feels like there's actually a threat.
Yeah.
Right? So they come up with the great plan of, hey, well,
let's trap them.
Yep. So they trap them, and then that doesn't work, right? So your moment of CGI happens, and then they run away, and they're like, hey, the only way to stop this is Sam has to die.
Yes.
So because then she basically steps out and is like, I'm gonna do this, and then they find out C. Berman, who was part of Camp Nightwing, has seen the witch also.
Yeah. So the way they figured out, or the way they figured that Sam had to die in order for these, monsters to go away, was based off of like a poem or like some kind of.
Well, there's like a witch. There's like there's like a, what is it called? It's not a melody. It's like a rhyme almost.
Yeah.
For the witch.
For the witch, and it's like they're not gonna go away until you're dead. Then they find out in 1978. Where there was this woman who was attending camp, and I guess camps were like a big thing back in the day.
Yeah, I mean in the 70s, 80s, so summer camp. Yeah.
And that's when they, I guess that's when they first realized like that was
someone
like
had a relative that went there.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's Sam or Dina. Someone had like their mom's sister go there.
And that was like when, and they realized, oh my fuck, this bitch she survived, but she died first.
Yep.
So she died and went away, but so we gotta kill Sam and pretend that she's dead.
They find that out in the article that she had died, and a local boy had come over and CPR and her life. Find out about more of that in part 2. So then they're like, all right, that's the only way. And then they're like, we gotta find C. Berman, and they get away, and they go with their first plan though, which is to kill Sam by her taking pills in the pharmacy and resuscitating her, right?
Yes.
Which is the climax of the film. A lot of the hate I've seen online, or I shouldn't say hate, criticism of this film has been getting to this moment and then people loving the climax of this film, like towards the end. So they go through this whole process. Was it Simon, Josh? They're wearing Kate. They're wearing blood of Sam's so they can distract the killers when they come to the pharmacy. The whole plan gets interrupted because Skullface comes up and he's able to get to Sam and Dina, so she can't take the third batch of pills that would have essentially killed her, and then they were going to use EpiPens and adrenaline to revive her, which breaks into a lot of great scenes. Which
to me, as far as writing, that's crazy to me. Like I'm just saying, like if that happened to us in real life. Yeah. I don't know that I'd be willing to take all those pills.
That's a big risk.
Just for you to read.
Simon seemed weirdly amped about it. Simon, like throughout, I was not mad to see Simon die.
Yeah.
I love the actor that plays him. I love Fred Hetchinger. But I just, God, he was a bear to watch. Well, I know he was comic relief, but there were some things that he said where I was like, this is good. I was like, but it's super cringy.
Out of pocket, almost.
Yeah.
So,
he does make a great line when they're talking about Jaws, and he's saying, "Oh, we're going to use her as bait."
Yeah.
So also a big Jaws fan over here. So them doing a Jaws reference, I was very happy with. So he gets credit for that. So I'll give him that.
Yeah, it's crazy. As much as I love you, bro, I don't know that I trust you enough to to EpiPen me, like I'm. And
be
you
like, hey, I'm
wouldn't.
gonna take these pills and I'm gonna go out.
Yeah,
And
my life is literally in your hands.
Yeah.
Like nope.
And she does make Sam has a great line though and says like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna die either way. Like I'm gonna die tonight either way. So whether y'all bring me back or not.
Yeah.
So.
Well, anyway, what ends up happening after that is, Sam does end up getting possessed by the witch
At the very end, but
Yes.
we skipped over three key moments that happened there.
Okay.
So you get all the killers get in there.
Yeah.
Kate dies.
Yep.
Can't skip over Kate dying because that is arguably, I'll skip ahead in the whole trilogy. My favorite moment of any movie in the trilogy is Kate dying with Skullface through the bread slicer. I think that's the biggest WTF moment. That is my favorite moment in the entire film.
It is I don't know why I skipped over that. Literally my favorite kill of all three films.
Yep.
And it started in the first one. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't think like the best kill is in the first movie.
Yeah, like this film entirely is like much more violent than I was expecting.
Yeah.
From R.L. Stine. So that was the story being from R.L. Stine. Like you get that. You get Simon gets an axe in the side of the head, and that's how he dies. There's like the kills at the beginning is several stabs to the girl on the ball floor, and then there's a shot through the head. Like it's violent. Ruby Lane's cutting people with razor. Like when they're showing flashbacks of the killers when they're talking about them, like the deformed boy is bashing someone's head in with a bat while they're sleeping. Like it's insane. It gets wild.
Yep.
So I didn't want us to gloss over how crazy, even amongst all those things, Kate being put through a bread slicer is insane. It blew my mind that happened.
It's Saw-like.
It dropped my Saw's traps, but the gore-wise.
Gore kills,
yeah. Like it dropped my chin to the floor. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, I can't believe this.
I didn't know what to do. Literally my favorite kill of all three, and I really don't know why I was literally about to not talk about that.
I know he skipped over. I was like, we gotta talk.
I know.
About that.
So,
but we do get into where you think everything's okay. It's like the false sense of hope.
Yeah.
And then Sam does become possessed, and while she stabs Dina while she's on the phone, after C. Berman calls back and is like,
doesn't say anything.
Well, she does. C. Berman calls her at the end.
Yeah, but she didn't say anything on the phone. I don't remember.
C. Berman calls her. Yeah.
Yeah, but
she's like, why? Like,
oh, you're still alive?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So she says that, and then she turns around and gets stabbed by Sam. She does detain her, and then that ends part one for us.
The storyline in this, for me, what I really enjoyed as far as just the story, is how they were able to incorporate the I felt for him. I can't think of like the word that I'm looking for.
You had sympathy for the character.
Yeah, and I wanted, and like the whole relationship between Dina and Sam was like not what I was hoping for. Like I don't know, like that's not what I was real like excited about. But what I guess what I'm trying to get at is the fact that they were able to make me the fact that they were able to make me feel for these people, even though even though there were holes in here, was something I really enjoyed about this movie.
Characters come around. I do end up liking Dina at the end of the series throughout the other films. She was just a bear to deal with through 75% of this film, in my opinion. I loved Josh, loved Kate. Kate's my favorite character from part one.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved her. And then
Josh is my favorite character.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love the acting in the movie. I can't say, even with the corny lines that are written into this movie, I cannot say that there was one bad actor.
Yeah, I thought they all did a great job. I think the writing was really terrible for Dina at the beginning, to the point I had more problems with the writing with Dina than I did with anything else, because I really think they struggled writing a character to have like a redemption arc that says she's so shitty at the beginning that we are going to eventually like her and overcome how we felt at the beginning. It was very tough to overcome because they did a very good job of making her very unlikable.
Yeah.
And I rolled my eyes a lot when it came to Dina. But I do come around on her, which it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So over the three films, they did a great job over that. But That ends part 1 for us.
What do you pillar system rating for part 1?
I don't want to get into how I feel about all of them yet, because we'll be talking about that in another episode. So I'm trying not to give that away.
Just for part 1, right? So just give it.
I feel confident with a 3 out of 5.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. 3.
3 out of 5.
I wouldn't give it any more, and I probably wouldn't give it any less. 3 is like the number for me for this movie.
Yep. So that's your pillar point system rating. Thank you for joining us for this episode. Again, like all our sponsors, they really do support us. So check them out and check us out for Covering Fear Street Part 2, 1978.
Deuces.